Hey there, welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole and this is episode 63. I'm back. If you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for being here. If you're new, I'm a professor. It's the end of the semester, so I like to record these about every 2-3 weeks, but I'm a month late or a month early. I don't know, however you want to say it, but it's been a busy semester. The semester is winding down. I had a graduation on Monday. There's a graduation this weekend. It's final exam week. All the final exams have been taken. Most of my grades are done, minus my doctoral students. So I'm just very, very close to wrapping up the semester. And normally I would be like, Summer Nicole's here, feeling very relaxed. But I leave for a really epic adventure this weekend. So I'm taking many students on a study abroad trip to Iceland, Sweden, and Denmark. So this is the first episode in a month, and there won't be another regular episode like this for another month because I will be traveling. However, I'm hoping to record some things that are knitting related when I'm traveling. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Let me know if you're interested in that. But yeah, let's get to it. I've got really fun things. I've got a finished object to share. I'm wearing it. And a really fun work in progress and a fun surprise. I have my friend stop by to say hi today, and I surprised her and asked her to be on the podcast and did some would you rather questions. So we have some fun things. Let's get to it. I have one finished object to share. I feel like sometimes as somebody who has a YouTube channel on the internet that loves hand knit garments and slow fashion, I feel this pressure to sometimes produce more, like to have more than one thing to show as a finished object. And it's fascinating because I'm into slow fashion, but I sometimes feel like this pressure to produce more. But I'm trying to say is I'm like really proud that I did this one thing that I'm wearing. I've worn it every day since I finished making it. And it's busy semester. I'm a mom and I made a sweater. How cool is that? So this is a test knit. This is a test knit. I have one finished object and it's a garment and I love it. And I've actually worn it every single day since I finished it. So that's how you know it's a good finished object for your life when you want to wear it every day. It's perfect for spring right now. It's the perfect color. It's mind neutral. It's everything. This was the perfect make and the perfect finished object. Okay, I'll stop rambling. Tell you the details. First of all, this sweater is called the Stick Together Cardi by my friend Jessica. It's the first test knit I've done for her, and I'm so grateful that she let me be a part of it and that I get to wear the sweater now. And she was going to have more. Like there's going to be a different weight version of this and then also a t-shirt version of this. So, okay, let me share some more details too. In addition to test knitting my friend's pattern, I also knit this as part of two of my friends' make-along. So Jasmine, who's Crafty Jasmine on Instagram, and Melissa, who's Stitches Be Slippin' on Instagram and on YouTube, both hosted a make-along. And normally I want to participate in make-alongs, but life, it just doesn't always happen. I cast this on in time for their make-along and finished it in time for their make-along. And it was called the Low Key Cardi, which I love the name of that make-along. So yeah, it was really great because my friend Melissa loves this color too. If I wasn't like a super selfish person, I would maybe give her this because I feel like she would love this sweater. It's all of our love languages, like this pale pink neutral. It's fuzzy. Okay, let me tell you about Jessica's pattern of the Stick Together Cardi. So she designed it for knitting it by holding 2 strands of worsted weight together. And I could have done that, but I didn't do that. And I got gauge anyway. So gauge is 10 stitches per 4 inches. There was this row gauge. I remember I didn't get the row gauge, but I did get the stitch gauge on my swatch. And it ended up working out on my garment to be on gauge as well. And I had 1 strand of worsted weight, 1 strand of fingering, and 1 strand of mohair. So technically, that's like holding a worsted and a DK together, and I got gauge. I think the mohair kind of fills it in, and it creates a sweater with quite nice drape. Okay, so it's knit in 1 piece. There's no sewing. I love sweaters like that. There's really beautiful details to it. Like this is a tubular bind off here on the cuff and on the bottom here. I think it's gorgeous. I love it so much. You want to do that, you don't have to do that. You just bind off regular. You want to do Italian sewn bind off, you do that. I think somebody in the testing group didn't want to do this applied button band, which my first time doing it, and I love it. But it is a lot of work. It's probably the most work of my whole sweater was this button band. I'm joking, because it's a large gauge. It's all very quick. But I do think it actually took me a shorter time to knit a sleeve than it did to do this button band. Yeah, that's true. I think I knit both sleeves in the same amount of time it took me to do this button band, because I feel like the sleeve took me a day and the sleeve took me a day, and I think it feel like this took me 2 days to do, 2 days of knitting, maybe more. But this is a beautiful detail, and it's a double knitting, and I love double knitting. I need to do more of that in my life. And then you apply it on, so you're knitting it on while you're double knitting. That's one way to do it. Some people knit this double knitted thing and then sew it on. The pro to that is you can block it out and make sure it's the absolute perfect gauge and fit for you. The con to that is sewing. So I did it the way the pattern suggests, which is just knitting the double band on, and it worked out lovely. As you can tell, it fits me really nice. The button journey for this. My last episode, I was like, what button should I do? Look, my nails match this. That was not intentional. I just got my nails done because I'm gonna be gone for 4 weeks, and I got them done really short. Anyway, so yeah, so these buttons, I bought rose gold buttons from Twin Mountain Handcrafts, and they were beautiful and they looked good with this yarn and the sweater, but they sent some extras of tiny buttons that were this material, and I was like, this is the button. So then I ordered these, and it was worth the wait, and by weight it was self-imposed weight because I did 2 rounds of button ordering, but they're gorgeous. Now I need to use my other buttons on another cardigan, is what I'm feeling like. I didn't tell you the type of yarn I used. It was the worsted was hand dyed. It was by 3 Irish Girls yarn. I bought it at Stephen B's studio when I was in Minnesota a few years ago on a summer vacation. And then I bought the Knitting for Olive yarn, the soft silk mohair and cherry blossom colorway, and whatever their merino, fingering weight merino is called, that's in that. I'll have all the details below. This is also the colorway cherry blossom. And it is, I was like, I should take a photo next to cherry blossom trees. They're blooming right now in the Pacific Northwest. They're beautiful. I should take a picture next to one, but there's just no time for it. But I love it. I hopefully will put in a picture of me wearing it, but I don't think I mentioned this beautiful detail that's asymmetric. So it's here, but it's not on the other side, which is really unique and kind of funky and fun, which I love. I love wearing t-shirts so much. And I love that this looks good over a t-shirt, and I love that it is like a nice dressy sweater, so I could also wear, like, if I have a meeting where I need to be a little bit more professional than a t-shirt sweater, which isn't too often, I'll be honest, and I can do that too. So for me, I love doing these fine details. It just really puts the slow in slow fashion. I love that. And the sleeves were too short when I knit it, and that was on purpose because I knew that it has superwash yarn, it would block out. And then when I blocked it and dried it, initially they were too long, but over time they start to shrink up, maybe from your elbow bending. It buttons nicely. Oh, so Jessica, the designer, has a much shorter waist than me. And so she knit it cropped, and I knit it cropped, but mine is like 3 or 4 inches longer than hers, but they're both cropped. I did not button this correctly. I was going to show you. It doesn't matter. But it buttons nicely. I love it so much. I'm so happy with this. So I'm really glad my friends had a cardigan make along. It motivated me to apply to Jessica's test knit. And I'm really glad Jessica designed this beautiful sweater, and you should know one. I've been working on so many things. It's been a month. I was knitting on my husband's Musselburgh. I've been crocheting. I have a test knit running for my Ljusblomma shawl. I knit, hopefully I'm popping in a picture, a very monochromatic one. And I've started one to really make the flowers pop. And that test knit, I feel like, is going really well in the sense of I'm getting great feedback. The people are very kind and nice, and people are finishing their shawls. And the goal was for me to cast this on and finish it in like 2 weeks. You see, this did not happen for me. So the Ljusblomma is designed to be done with a fuzzy yarn here and then a fingering weight yarn here for the flowers. Well, you don't have to do that. I think Melissa, Stitches Be Slipping, she did it all fingering weight, and somebody did an all mohair version, somebody did a Surian fingering. So, I mean, you can do what you want with it. Melissa had fun with the stripes, doing it different colors. I've done the same color. There's a total of 12 stripes, so if you had a mini skein pack of 12 different colors, you could do that, certainly. I'll tell you about the yarn. So this yarn is the Cosmo Cash Base by Yarnaceous Fibers, which is a cashmere merino blend. Technically lace weight, but it's so fluffy, it's at a fingering weight gauge if you want. It's one of those yarns that can, I feel like, morph and transform, kind of like Spin Cycle. You kind of see this base popping around places now, and I think it's lovely. My flowers, I just had to do it. I bought this yarn at the Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle last year, and the colorway is called Pink Pony Club. Until then, I really liked that song, and so I also bought stitch markers that were Pink Pony Club themed, and so I'm using those. And I just love this pop. And the vision was for me to finish this before my travels, so I could A, have it for my travels, and B, wear it on my travels, and then take beautiful pictures in Iceland. I've modified that goal. So now my plan is to knit this on the plane and in Iceland. And Ljusblomma is a Swedish word, which means light flower, or kind of this, it's supposed to evoke this ethereal feeling for spring. And I will be in Sweden. So how cool would it be to take a picture in Sweden? So I'm modifying the goal. We'll see if I can make it. I just think that this would be really great. So this has become wish knitting / travel knitting. If I was an organized podcaster, I would have the colorway name of this. I know this is Pink Pony Club from Fangirls Fiber. I don't have the thing in here, but I think maybe it was Deadlist or something. It's wonderful. Do you ever have a moment where you just like love your accessory situation for your knitting? So I'm keeping it in my very favorite Black Pearl Magic bag. I just love the neutral and the neon pop. Oh, so good. And it has this like iridescent rainbow zipper. Then in the Black Pearl Magic like winter box, there were these stitch markers that are bows. And bows are having a moment now, and it's pink, and so these are the stitch markers I'm not stitch markers, stitch stoppers I'm using. And I've shown that I'm using my Pink Pony Club Progress Keeper. Okay, then I got this from Portland Leather, this little wallet, and I keep my little scissors in here. Got these at, so this is Portland Leather, and I got these little scissors at Starlight Knitting Society. And I keep them in there so they don't puncture a hole in my Black Pearl Magic bag. Very important. So I'm just loving my whole knit situation here. Loving it. And I'm really enjoying this, though my knitting on this has been really slow. And the semester life. So ideally this pattern would be released around Mother's Day weekend, which is like May 15th. Today's May 2nd. That's a lot of knitting and picture taking. My testers are on top of it, and I think the pattern will be in final feedback by then. It's the pictures part. But I'm glad that I'm taking the time to knit this with the pop. The pop's everything. I made a video too, so while I haven't been recording like an update like this, I did make a tutorial video on how to make these flowers, and I have that hyperlinked in the pattern when it's released, so that if the written directions are a struggle for this, that you can use the video. So it looks like, almost looks like crochet from afar, but you can see it's still knitting, and it's these beautiful flowers in there. Nice I-cord edge. This drapes really nicely, this yarn. This will be really great for those summer nights that you're a little cool. Great for spring. But I think it's a piece that'll transition to fall and winter nice with the cashmere. So that's, see how it folds up? Like, look at that. Just itty bitty. This is so great for traveling. So I do have a finished one that I'm debating, like, do I bring that one with me? Bring 2 Ljusblommas with me on my big adventure? I think it's important to mention for my big adventure that I'm going to 5 different countries, and I'm bringing 1 small piece of luggage. That's an important thing to know and why I'm concerned, and about like what knitting I'm bringing, because it's like I have to have knitting for the entire month. And also I need to have room for clothing, especially like for hiking and backpacking and stuff. So I think I'm also going to bring yarn and a pattern to make the mini mock neck tank to cast that on. So I think that and the mini mock neck are my only 2 things I'm bringing with me. It's not official yet because it's not packed, but that's the plan.
Please edit at will.
I will edit a lot. Okay, surprise. We're having. So this is going to be a new segment, not regular, or maybe regular. I'm surprising her.
Depends on how well I do.
Okay, so this is my friend Andrea. If you are a longtime viewer, you've heard me talk about Andrea several times. If you watch my Vlogmas, you've heard me talk about Andrea. So this is the elusive Andrea. So Andrea is the Andrea that taught me how to crochet. And I'll pop a picture in here, the lay triangle. And we did that together. And Andrea's the same Andrea that came and taught my students to knit. So she came over to say hi, well, actually bye to me. So I'm going to be traveling for the next month. And then I was like surprised. She walked to my backyard and was like, oh, okay. So I thought it would be fun to have a segment where I ask Andrea knitting themed would you rather questions. But before we do that, could you share how long you've been knitting, crocheting,
gosh.
sewing? She does it all.
Well, sewing since I was 10 years old. My mom was a sewer, and I have tons of pictures of my sister and I in matching like Christmas dresses and Easter dresses. And she taught me to sew in 4th grade. I still have the quilt I made, and it was just like 4-inch squares and strips, nothing lines up. But it was mostly material from clothes she'd made my sister and I. So, and I still have that. Oh. So, and I took home ec and 4-H and all that kind of stuff. And I crocheted, when I was young too, and my mom got frustrated because I made a bazillion granny squares of all the same color and didn't do anything with them. So she paid somebody to connect them, and I actually still have that blanket too.
I didn't know that. That's fun.
Yeah. So I would say crocheting came first, and then knitting came later after I had kids. But then when I started, like it felt natural to me, like maybe I had knit at some point when I was younger and like muscle memory kicked in. And so I took a class at the community center in McMinnville, and the rest is kind of history. So, yeah.
Cool. And we met when I moved out to the Pacific Northwest like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Through knitting.
Yeah.
Which is so fun. All right. Are you ready for
Yep,
these Would You
I'm
Rather
ready.
questions?
I'm ready.
Okay. They're really funny.
Okay.
Okay. I used ChatGPT to help me with this. So artificial intelligence actually did a really funny job at this. So would you rather only knit with mohair forever? Only knit with mohair forever, or never be allowed to use it again?
Never be allowed to use it again.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I like it okay, but I don't dye to knit with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you made something with mohair?
Yeah, I've done some stuff with like layering,
Mm-hmm.
like holding thread together. And I usually find that like I sometimes don't catch that thread of mohair and stuff, but yeah. I mean, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is a tough one for me because part of me thinks I would do mohair because I could like layer it. Like I could like do 2 or 3 strands of it, make different weights, and I love a good fuzz. But
and I'm not super fuzzy.
Okay. Yeah. In general. Knitting wise and in
yeah.
Okay, I like this one. This is a good one. Would you rather knit with squeaky acrylic or splitty linen for a whole month?
Ooh.
So for a whole month, squeaky acrylic. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
like crunch.
Yeah.
And or splitty linen.
I don't knit with linen that much. I bought some knit linen in France last summer that I just found when I organized my studio, and I need to find something to knit with it. Honestly, probably the acrylic, which is kind of shocking, just because I also like to use, well, I don't use acrylic that much, but I do find that like if I'm knitting something like for a baby or a child, having an acrylic or an acrylic mix is much more like family friendly. You can just toss it in the washer when they barf on it and that kind of thing. So I could dedicate that month to like making acrylic baby sweaters or something.
That's a good idea. I feel like I would also go squeaky acrylic because I would be scared about the splitty linen hurting my hands and that I wouldn't want to knit, and I definitely want to knit.
Yeah, this linen I got in France is this amazing like deep teal color, but I'm kind of like, ooh, and it feels stiff. So I don't know what I'm gonna do.
A little sidebar background about Andrea is she taught biology and French. Now she's retired, like newly retired, and she does really epic things. She travels a lot, and she goes to France to this thing called
Camp Chateau.
Camp Chateau. It's like a crafty camp. You did all kinds of crafts.
Yeah, it's a lot of like uplifting women and mindfulness and just a really cool place to be and meet a lot of new people.
Jam.
Yeah, I did
painting.
jam making, watercolor, flower arranging, which I've kind of come to love, which I never thought I would like that, but it's been really fun. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think what else I did. A photography class. So they have little sessions, and you sleep in a like in a room in a chateau with like 4 other people, but they're the old staterooms in the chateau, so they're really cool. And
yeah, the pictures looked really epic. Okay, this is a good one. Would you rather drop a stitch in lace or run out of yarn with 5 rows to go?
Ooh, because 5 rows, that's kind of like too much to like blow off, you know?
Yeah, like because 5 rows here would make a big difference.
Right,
half my cup would be cut. Yeah, I think I'd be
difference.
missing half my cup.
Yeah. I'd probably rather drop a stitch in lace because I don't mind fudging it in lace. I'll just, do my best to weave it up and connect it to like the next stitch. So, yeah, I'm not 100% like I must have everything be perfect. So,
I feel like I would do the run out of yarn with 5 rows to go because that happens to me all the time. I feel like I know how to live in that world.
Yeah.
I feel like the dropping a stitch and lace would be intimidating to me. But either way, you might rip out.
Yeah, either it kind of lace. That's a tough one. I don't knit a ton of lace. Sometimes I knit just like a lace motif into something, but very rarely just straight lace.
I feel like the next one I'm reading it, I feel like I think I know how you're going to answer it. Would you rather knit only socks for a year or never be allowed to knit socks again?
Oh, only socks for a year. That's what I always have socks on the needles. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I love knitting socks.
I was like, she's going to say only socks for a year.
Yeah, I
got
love
that one
knitting
right.
socks.
Okay.
That was like my first knitting addiction. I always have socks on the needles. I actually don't right now because I just finished the socks I was working on and haven't started a new pair. But yeah, I always have socks on the needles. They're kind of my go-to. And they're practical. I use socks, in the winter. I love wearing my hand knit socks.
It's fun. Okay. I think I know this one too.
Okay.
Would you rather knit on tiny needles, US size 0, or only super bulky yarn forever?
US size 0.
That's
yeah, because I'm also a loose knitter, so when I knit fingering weight socks, I have to go down to like 00s or 000s to get the fabric tight enough. So yeah, I do that anyway.
Okay, I don't know how you're going to answer this one. Okay. Would you rather lose your favorite hand knit or accidentally felt it?
Ooh.
I don't know how you're going to answer this.
Probably accidentally felt it and then turn it into something else, like a pillow cover. Or...
Oh, I should have guessed that because you're crafty and and you like to re-envision things. Yeah. I should have guessed that. Yeah. Okay. I think I know how you're going to answer this one too. Would you rather knit a deadline gift on a time crunch or knit a giant blanket during a heat wave?
Well, since I've knit a deadline gift on a time crunch, her daughter's baby sweater that came to the baby shower damp because
literally it was wet,
and I was not the only knitter that had that.
It was they were all wet.
Yeah, they were all wet. We were all like, I've got to get this done for the shower. That I'm not. Blankets. I'm not.
That's what I was gonna guess. I was gonna guess the deadline. Okay, I don't know how you're gonna answer this. Maybe. Okay. Would you rather your yarn stash be visible to everyone who visits, or be forced to hide it all in unlabeled bins?
Visible for all to see. Although I have a yarmoire, which was my mom's armoire, and I put like organizing shelves in it. And my son just moved out, and I've turned what was his bedroom into my atelier of all things like sewing, all things fiber. And I can close the yarmoire if I want. And by the way, the yarmoire doesn't hold all the yarn, but anyway, but most of the time I still kind of have it open because I arranged it from like sock fingering, DK, sport, worsted and higher from top to bottom, and then Roy G. Biv across. So it's kind of pretty. So I don't mind if people see it. And then it also keeps me a little honest to shop my stash before I go buy yarn. Because I have a big stash. Like, it's a big yarmoire. So.
That's fun. I need to see it. So I'm very confident how you're going to ask this one. So confident I almost didn't ask it. Okay. Because you're going to be like, I think you'll only answer it right away. We'll see. Would you rather design a pattern that goes viral or knit in complete peace without any outside pressure forever?
Complete peace.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. I was like, this is a silly question for you. Yeah. I feel like I'm also complete peace, which might be like kind of, there's pollen and things floating around. I'm also complete peace, even though it might seem ironic, like having a YouTube channel. I think like knitting is about joy and like it's about relaxation and therapeutic, and it's not about what other people think. Like, people cannot like the colors you use or the yarn you use. It's about what gives you joy. I've been really having a lot of enjoyment with ChatGPT. I haven't really used it for knitting at all, but I've used it in teaching and things like this. Anyway, so I think that's a wrap. And maybe Andrea should come back. You
I
can
think
let us
so.
know if you've got some questions for Andrea. Anyway,
Bye.
bye.